All right, coming up to the microphone next is candidate Joe Murphy.
Thank you, everyone. I'm very excited to be here tonight and to talk to all of you. I want to thank Mark and the Merrymount Association for putting this together. It's a really nice event. I know my fellow candidates and I really appreciate this opportunity. I also want to acknowledge Councillor LaForest, who I don't believe is here, but we are replacing our incumbent, Mark LaForest, who has served Quincy's Ward 1 for several terms. And while no politician enjoys universal approval, from my door knocking, I can tell you that she has helped a lot of people in Ward 1. And so I just want to acknowledge and thank her for that. Great. Many of you don't know me. I didn't grow up around here. My wife and I moved here in 2007, and we are what I like to call Quincy by choice. We had the whole Boston area to choose from, and when we found Quincy, we thought it felt like home. So since I'm not born here, I'm getting to know all of you, and these past few months running for office has been a pleasure. So I'd like to tell you why I'm running for office. We are in the midst of a huge transformation in Quincy. We are in the middle of a revitalization, and we are also approaching our 400th anniversary. This is the time when priorities are going to be set, decisions are going to be made, and if we're not careful, mistakes can be made. So I thought this was a good time to get involved and help set the agenda for my daughter's hometown here, Quincy. So, what do I want to do? I want to push for smart development. I thought Dan said a lot of great things about the overdevelopment going on in Quincy right now. We need to be careful and respect the integrity of our neighborhoods. While there's a temptation to stuff as many high-end apartments as we can into the city, in the long run, it's not going to make the city's quality of life any better. And we're going to wind up regretting some of those decisions, I believe. So as Ward 1 Councillor, what I would do is fight hard to make sure that we don't put incongruous development projects in amongst neighborhoods like this, like Howe's Neck, like Gull Point, Germantown. These are neighborhoods that don't need to see this kind of development. So what I want to do is give the zoning board the regulations they need to help protect the integrities of our neighborhood. And I want to organize neighborhood committees. When one of these projects is up for, I want to make sure that we have a whole band of people at those zoning board meetings organized and ready to speak and let the zoning board know what we think. I'm not anti-development, but I am for smart development. I want to also bring more amenities to Quincy. This is one of the things I've been talking about since the beginning. We have a lot of businesses that thrive here, but we don't have a huge variety. Case in point, now this is a little outside Ward 1, but the old Willie's Burgers on Washington Street is being turned into a Dunkin' Donuts. There is a Dunkin' Donuts like 2 feet from it at Washington and Southern Artery, and there's about 7 Dunkin' Donuts within 3 miles of that location, 3 square miles. That location could have been something else. Some of the things I've been pushing for are maker spaces, science concerns, art concerns, music concerns, things that will enrich our lives, will educate our youth, and help us just have more fun together as people. Don't get me wrong, I do love Dunkin' Donuts. I'm a twice-a-day customer, and I'm certainly not picking on them, but Quincy's got them, and we got a lot of them. So I'm for encouraging and facilitating partnerships with other types of businesses that we don't see here as often. We lost our last theater in the last couple of years. On a different note, our hospital was unceremoniously taken away from us. It seems like we outsource a lot of services in Quincy, where we could be spending our money here and employing people here. We wind up having to leave Quincy to have fun and enrich ourselves. I also want to reprioritize how we're spending our budget. Don't get me wrong, world-class green spaces and huge maritime centers are wonderful concepts, and I support them conceptually. But let me ask people here, and you don't have to shout out, but just ask yourselves, are you satisfied with our roads? Are you satisfied with our water mains? They're over 100 years old and they're collapsing. Mr. Ramundi will tell you. There are plenty of other things that we could be prioritizing as a city. And I think we can improve our parks, improve our green spaces, but still keep the bones of this city healthy. We're celebrating 400 years. We need to keep the structure healthy. So it reminds me of something my mom said to me as a kid often. She said, you do your homework before you play outside, and you eat your dinner before you have dessert. And I feel with some of our luxury projects we're talking about, we're putting dessert first. So I want to also stand up for my fellow commuters. The MBTA, I think, has mistreated Quincy for years. Has anyone stood on a platform in winter and froze? That's me, every winter. And I think with doing all 4 of our Quincy stations over at the same time, the MBTA has shown terrible planning, terrible leadership. And it's up to our city council and our mayor to tell them that we understand, we're happy that you're going to put some new stations in here, but you've got to do it in a way that's not on the backs of Quincy citizens. Because right now, they're basically saying, sorry, it's going to be tough. Well, that's not good enough, because there's a lot of people that take the T up into Boston, up into Cambridge, and they're going to give up on the T, and they're going to wind up in cars, and they're going to be on the roads with you. So I'm just telling you now, we cannot forget about our commuters. And another priority of mine is the environment. You look around, we see lots of our children here, and I want Quincy to be part of the solution for their future. Right now, we can do better as a community. I'm calling on Mayor Koch to join the climate mayors. There's almost 400 cities in this country now that have pledged to abide by the Paris Agreement. We should be one of those cities. We should be doing our best to reduce single-use plastic bag use. We don't have to do a ban, but we can change the culture with education, and I have a plan to sell advertisement on those 10-cent, high-quality plastic bags and letting them be available to our residents. We have waterways here. When those plastic bags end up in our waterways, they're eaten by fish, they are litter problems, it's an issue. They break down, but they don't biodegrade. So I won't get into the details of plastic right now. But there's other things I want to do. I want to prevent retail establishments from throwing out donatable goods because it didn't sell. I've worked at a few retail places in this area, and I can tell you it's an obscene practice that happens at almost all of them. We should work to make partnerships between worthwhile charities and these retail establishments so that that goods can be donated and not wind up in a landfill. And we should pass regulations so that new construction in business communities incorporates alternate energy, skylights, and water reclamation so that our businesses are setting an example for the community at large. So I have a lot of other issues, and they're all at my table. I hope you stop by and take a look, and I'd like to meet with all of you. And take it away, Mark.
All right, thank you, Joe. First question, I jotted this down as you were speaking. Can you give us an example of smart development and where you would like to see multi-unit residential properties in Quincy?
I don't think it's a bad idea to put multi-unit properties around RT stations. For any other reason, there will be people that take those apartments who are not going to necessarily need a car. We have a parking issue in Quincy. We have traffic in Quincy. If we're putting these developments in places where cars are needed, we're just going to exacerbate that problem.
Okay. Experience or skill set that you think would make you a successful representative on the city council?
Oh, I should have mentioned. I'm currently an administrator at MIT. I'm the assistant director of administration for the Center for Bits and Atoms at MIT, where my job description is budgets, finance, intellectual property, sponsor relations, grant proposals, and grant management. I think those skills translate pretty directly to this job.
How would your approach to serving as our representative differ, if at all, from our current Ward 1 City Councilor?
One thing that I admire about Councillor Forrest is her ability to communicate through the internet. I would take it a step further, and in addition to having Facebook and Twitter, I want to have weekly office hours where people can come find me in any of our Ward 1 establishments. It'll be varied. Soft drinks would be on me, and we can sit down and chat in person. I think getting to know people person to person and my door knocking has been truly enlightening, and it's something I want to carry through if elected.
Joe, what's your background or record of community involvement or service in Quincy?
In Quincy, most of my community involvement has been through volunteering with the HouseNet Community Council for various activities like Chowder Fest or Chili Fest setup and breakdown. I've also been a frequent participant in the Cleaner, Greener Quincy campaign. And I think that is one of my favorite things about living in Quincy, getting together with your neighbors and picking a specific project that you care about and working on that. And if they're up to me, I would like to take Cleaner, Greener Quincy and put it on steroids. I'd like to have it every season. I'd like to be out there in the snow doing it. I just think it's something that it's good for the kids, it's good for the community, and that would be something I'd want to look into.
Joe, on your issues page on your website, you said that you believe Quincy should declare itself to be a sanctuary city. Can you explain your position on this further?
Sure. My sanctuary city position came out of what happened last year with the city council when Councillor Liang suggested a discussion. And quite honestly, I was disappointed that the discussion was not allowed to proceed. Whether you agree or disagree, I think we can all agree that in a democracy we need to talk to each other and we need to communicate. Yes, I believed that we should have this discussion, and I decided that I would try to start the discussion amongst the people that read my website and say what I was for. I do think we should be a sanctuary city designation. To be honest, the Quincy Police Department's current policy works fine for me. I fear that not a lot of people who would be affected by it are aware of their policy. So why do I think we should be a sanctuary city? First of all, I do think history will judge us based off that decision. But it's also economics. We do not need to be paying our local police force, who are already taxed to the limit, to carry out questionably unconstitutional orders. So I don't want to pay for them to be an immigration force. We are paying them to be our local police force. Safety is the main condition, though. I will tell a real quick story, and I promise to make it quick. When I lived in California, my apartment complex was being retarred, the roof. And I was working at home, and I heard this horrible scream outside. When I went outside, I found a young man covered in hot tar. He either had fallen off the roof or the tar had fallen on him. I wasn't sure. He was screaming in pain, and we doused him with fire extinguishers. And we immediately called 911, and he begged us not to. His skin was on fire, but he begged us not to call 911 because he did not want to be deported. He needed to go to the hospital, and he eventually did. But we need people in this city to be able to call the police without fear. If they think there's a drug deal going down across the street, they need to be able to call. If their grandmother has tripped and fallen and possibly hurt her hip, they should not hesitate. And that's why I support our police's policies right now, and that's why I think we should make it official.
Joe, last question here. We're almost out of time. What is your plan and thoughts in regards to Father Bill's homeless shelter? Do you see it staying in its current location? Would you try to do what you could to move it to a new location? Can you give us your thoughts on there?
You're going to make me certainly popular, Mark. Father Bill's. I actually went and visited with them a couple months ago. I met with their administrative staff. They gave me a tour of the facility. And I just want to say, first of all, that's not part of your question, but these are amazing people there. They do amazing work, and you can see that they all care deeply for the residents there. I talked to Father Bill's because people reached out to me via email saying they were concerned about homeless people in the library, homeless people going up and down the street, being at the MBTA station. So I talked to them about it, and they were very sympathetic to those concerns. And what they said was, we're a shelter. Every morning, we kick these people out. They're allowed to come back for lunch, but then we kick them out again. And then they line up. We need a day program. And that's what I think Father Bills needs. Father Bills needs treatment and services, job placement, housing placement services during the day for the people, the residents of Father Bills. Don't forget, we also have a lot of homeless veterans at Father Bills. These people need help, and I would do my best to help Father Bills in their mission.
Let me ask you one last question here. Just, the crowd might not know what you meant by this. What do you mean by maker spaces? What do you, where would you see those in Quincy?
Okay, a makerspace is a digital fabrication laboratory that lets average folks, instead of like the engineers at MIT I work with, go in and learn how to use tools like laser cutters, mills, 3D printers. They learn carpentry skills, they learn electronic skills, they learn computer programming. These are all skills that we're going to need going forward as robots take over more and more of the job space. To be competitive, if we really want the tech corridor to come into Quincy and benefit this community, our people need our skills. And a makerspace is a fun place to do that. Kids of all ages go in there, adults. At MIT, we deploy them all over the world. And we have users in their 90s, and we have users that are my daughter's age. And they're all learning the same skills. It's not just for young people. And it's not just about educating them to be in the workplace. We're starting entrepreneurship. You have an idea. Has anybody had an idea for a product? You thought, if I could make this, maybe I could do something. Businesses come out of these makerspaces. Small businesses with inventions. And artistic endeavors come out of there as well. People sell their products on Etsy from things they've made with 3D printers and laser cutters. It's like shop class for the next century. And I don't think Quincy should wait till every other town has one before deciding to do it.
All right, Joe, thank you for answering questions. Thank you for running. Thank you.